Hey, what's up? It's James here, and we're going to give you a quick run through of just some of the markets. Now, I'm not going to give you the full thing and everything that's going on. I don't want to talk about jobless numbers. I don't want to talk about results out of the US. These things are just sort of continuing to go on, and they get talked a lot about a lot. I'm going to talk about energy. I'm going to talk about oil. Sort of has taken my attention over the week. That has just been Ukraine made an attack, the first attack on actual Russian oil infrastructure. Now that was fascinating because it's a part of the world where the US has not been really favorable of them making attacks. So they attacked a Russian warship and also a Russian oil ship in a place, and I'm going to go for the pronunciation, Novorossiysk. There you go, and I managed to pronounce that correctly. Thank you very much. That's just what I do. 20% of Russia's oil goes through this thing, and 15% of Russia's grain also goes through this thing, this city, fuck it. Sorry. That's all good. So the Ukraine has made an attack on that, and that's sort of an interesting thing that whilst the US has been keen to keep the war going, and if you read between the lines, sell them weapons and send them money, good or bad, that isn't. That's either way. I do now believe that the US it's in the best interest for them economically to try and keep this war going as long as possible. That's just now the sort of the remedy that we've got ahead of us. That whilst that is happening, the US has not wanted the Ukraine to make attacks on the oil production of Russia, although that is where Russia manages to make its money to fund the war on Ukraine. That whilst that is going on, it will actually send the price of oil up. Sending the price of oil up is not good. There's an election next year. Everything works in a 4-year cycle in the US. So unfortunately, that means that the US is sort of would have higher rates at the pump and be very keen to not see that particularly happen. So they're keen for Ukraine to defend themselves and to be able to fund that as much as possible, but are not keen to see that put oil prices any higher. It's in a tenuous place, especially in a time when inflation is trying to come down and the cost of living is going up, and you've got people who are voting with their hip pocket, and that's sort of the idea. Add to that the fact that you've got the US stockpiles are way low, and I have charts and stuff for this, but it's all in my note that's going to come out later on. But you've got stockpiles being way down, US crude inventories, the sharpest decline forever, going to the lowest level since 1985. That's significant on that one. So you've got all those things sort of compacting to see that oil does continue to go higher. I do believe that it will continue to go higher. However, you've got Anas Al-Hajji, who he appears on Macro Voices a lot. I really appreciate his work. He's sensational. I'm just going to put his words here. China has become what we call an oligopsonist in economic jargon, a buyer who can influence the market. As we have mentioned before, the Saudis will set the floor price. China will set the ceiling. For this reason, absent any major political event in any of the major oil producing countries, we do not see oil at $100 a barrel. So the Saudis are setting the floor. As it gets to a certain level, China can do whatever they want, and so that's it. So buyer who can influence the market. So it's going to be one of those things that sort of bounces between the two. Happy to see it go up from here though. So there's a couple of ETFs that I've got. If you want to know more about them, you need to send me a note and I'll be able to help you. This is my last week at VFS. I start at Shaw and Partners in 7 days time. Well, 6 days now that you count it. So that's this is going to be probably my last Monday note that comes out of this thing in this channel. But that's it. So really looking forward to what's ahead at that regard. Go the Matildas, and I hope that's going to be a cracker. Really nice, quick one. Aside from that, reporting, I freaking hate it. I do anything that I can to just try and find a distraction away from it. Looking at individual company stuff, I prefer to see things sort of generally over the ideas, to see economies are going up, economies are going down, margins contracting, margins aren't. Having a really good look at that later on in the week when we've got a bit more data to have a look at that we can see. We've seen some differentials. It's come up. Amazon and Apple splitting apart there. So look, that's about all that I've got. Anything else you need to know, please let me know. Talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.